In my earlier videos in this series, we have discussed about the design philosophy of PEB structures as well as the erection protocol to be followed when you are constructing a PEB structure on ground. Equally important to all these 2 points is the quality assurance or quality control measures we are implementing at site. As I mentioned in my earlier videos, in the PEB structure we have to remember that the design is done for optimum stress conditions, or the sections are designed for optimum economy. So, most of the sections, even the main primary sections, will be stressed to its maximum under the design loads. That is how it is designed. So, there is not much margin available. So, the quality control right from the factory, during the fabrication, during the erection, at all these points are to be ensured. First is to select a proper or a right PEB manufacturer. Now, ask the manufacturer for manufacturer certificate for plates, corresponding purchase vouchers in the name of the manufacturer for the same lot is to be obtained. At least a few times the executives have to visit the factory and check their quality control test and how best they are keeping their records. From this we will get an idea of what is the quality assurance system of the factory. Then collect material samples from the lot which is used for our work and send it for independent test always. Generally plates are manufactured by major steel manufacturers only. Still we should not leave anything left for imagination. We should cut the samples and get it tested. And because once the items come to the site fabricated, we cannot test the strength of that members, only thickness can be measured. Now, post fabrication, check at least 10% of the welding done in a member by DP test, and in all the members at least 10% of the members shall be tested for such similar welding test also. Check all the dimensions after fabrication is completed. All the dimensions of the members and hole locations are to be checked. After roll forming is completed, like roll forming members such as galvalume sheets or the Z purlins, C purlins, girts, these are formed out of sheets and roll formed in the factory. At least 10% of the material for color and galvalume coating is to be checked that coating is not peeled off. Generally, if it is from a good manufacturer with a proper coating, there will not be any peeling of the coating, but at least 10% of the material should be checked. Also, it is to be ensured that wherever your cold forming is done, either in the Z section, C purlin as well as in the sheet, there is no crack at the 90-degree bends. Dimension of the final profiled members, especially C and Z purlin, roofing sheets, side cladding, decking sheet, check and confirm that it is matching with the design. Most important of this would be the Z and C profiles. The dimension where it is bending is done, this is to be checked regularly. Another important item is the bolts and fasteners. The bolts and fasteners, whatever is mentioned, the required strength and the manufacturer from where we are procuring, this should be tested, checked and confirmed, because bolts and fasteners on ground when you are doing the erection is the most important component of the PEB structure, which is holding the structure together and which is transferring the load from one member to other. So, there is no leeway to be left here. And as far as painting is concerned, check the quality and make of paint prior to using it. Ensure the desired quality is used. When you are framing your tender, always ensure that you mention the type of painting, number of coats, thickness of the coats, etc. very clearly in your specification, because these are very important depending upon the environmental condition. Either you can go for a synthetic enamel paint or you can go for a PU coating, and dry film thickness DFT is to be clearly mentioned, and how many coats of primer, how many coats of paint is to be done, how many coats of show painting and how many coats of painting is to be done on the ground, and in case of damage during transport, how it is to be repaired on the ground. This should be given in the specification. That is very important. Higher DFT should not be there. DFT, remember that the dry film thickness mentioned, the paint mentioned for each coating should be that much only. Higher DFT may result in peeling of the paint. Lower DFT, lower thickness may not provide the desired protection. So, better that you provide the correct thickness whatever is mentioned, and this should be regularly checked. Once the erection is completed, check and ensure that all column, center line, diagonal distances are as desired and within the tolerance limit. Remember that these distances, these diagonal distances are very important in the case of a steel structure. Check all the columns for plumb at top as well as at the center. Ensure that all beams, rafters, purlins, side runners, etc. are straight to the entire length. Check all sag rods are installed and fixed with the double nuts, and both the nuts should be tightened properly. Ensure that all flange braces are installed, and ensure that all bracing members are correctly installed. Check overall dimensions of building including diagonals. Ensure that all bolts are torque tightened. This is again a grey area, this is again a problem, because when you are initially fixing the frame, that is the column or the rafter, first it is not tightened to the full strength, the second bolt is not tightened. So, sometimes they miss out that some bolts are left as such. So, you should have a proper record of how many bolts are tightened, how many are not tightened, and the bolts which are fully tightened, torque tightened, using a torque wrench, not with a normal wrench, using a torque wrench, that should be clearly marked that this is fully tightened, this is done, and this is to be cross checked by another engineer. Maintain records and keep track of all tightened connections. So, this quality assurance and these points are very important during the construction of the PB structures. These are all the general points to be ensured at site. Thank you very much.